Awesome. All right. Hello. Welcome to episode 3 of Push to Talk. That's the name of the podcast. It could change. I don't like it. But for now, I just wanted to get started. I'm joined today by Crimsyn. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Crimsyn. I am a drag entertainer, performer, artist, all the things, playing with gender, androgyny, and being part of the rebellion, you know?
And he's really good at it. You got to check out his stuff. I see. Are you in your workshop? Is that your workshop?
Yeah, so this is my room has turned into a workshop over the years. It's basically a clothes rack and a wall of supplies and then a bed on the side.
Nice. Okay, so
Terrible atmosphere to sleep in.
it's like 90% like resources and like tools and equipment to use, and then just like 10% is your bed.
Oh yeah, I have my bed and then I have 8 drawers of clothes, and that's all I have
Nice.
is like my normal stuff.
Are those like your standard clothes, those 8 drawers, or is that like drag
Yes.
clothes as well? Okay,
No,
gotcha.
it's just like shorts, underwear, everything.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I think I know kind of the story, but can you just kind of talk about like how you got into the space? I mean, like drag's like a huge space right now with RuPaul's drag race and all that. And can you kind of talk about how you got into the space?
Absolutely. So I kind of started in the cosplay realm. So I think it was senior year of high school, I believe. I went to a convention in California, and I was like, my mindset at the time was like, I'm never going to be in California again. It's like across the world, like all that
Yeah.
dramatic stuff the high schooler things. And so I thought I would never be back there, and it was so far away. It was like this big thing. So I was like, let's go big, because it's never going to happen again. So let's live it till its fullest experience. So I decided, let's do what everyone does and kind of like dress up for the convention. And when we go over there, we buy like memorabilia, all the touristy stuff, like, just go ham. So I started to dress up, and I was like, okay, I've got to make a costume for this convention. Um, you know, and I got to go crazy. So I decided to dress up as one of my characters that I played like for the game. It was for Warcraft.
Yeah.
And so I had my own character, and so I started making the costume for it, and I just had such a good experience in making it, and I was learning so many new things that I hadn't learned before. Um, and so then when I went there and I dressed up and everything, I realized, whoa, there's a whole community of people here that dress up and enjoy the game, but at the same time, they also like make their own stuff too. So it was a conversation of not only nerdy in-game stuff, but also like, oh my gosh, when you sew this material, do you have this problem too? Bonding over crafting things. So it's this weird experience of like, whoa, I didn't know this was a thing. So then I came back to school, and I was like, I kind of want to make this what I do. Like it has a purpose to it, rather than just like drawing or doodling some random thing the teacher says for an assignment. It had a little bit more meaning behind it. So I kind of chased that for a while. I had a blast with it. But then it got to the point where it's like, yeah, this is great, but this character, what is this character that I'm doing? Like, I understand that people play the games and they watch the show, and the characters have like a mental tie to them and their life at that point and stuff like that, which is great. I didn't have those things, because that's not why I was dressing up. I wasn't dressing up because this character I related to and the story it had meant this, that, and the other, all that
Yeah.
jazz. And that's not what I was doing it for. And I'm not saying that's not like good or bad. That's not how I interpreted it, but a lot of people interpret that way, and that's amazing. But anyway, so I really wanted to bring like my original ideas and thoughts into the designs of the characters. That's kind of what I was into, because as I was creating and designing and trying to like craft these like wings or crazy things that all these like anime characters or like creatures had, um there was like this engineering aspect and design that you had to put behind it, and I'm a mathematical brain, so
Yeah.
that's what my brain was tied to, was that mathematical like planning out engineering part of it. So I was drawn to that aspect. So that drew me towards like the design. So I was kind of creating characters that weren't from video games or anything anymore. They were all original creations that I think they're called like OCs, like original
Oh
characters.
yeah.
Like people are like, oh, I'm just doing an OC today or something like that at
I see people
conventions. They're just
sketching them on Instagram. They're like, "Oh, this is my OC." Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's kind of the category I was starting to fall into, because I just wanted to create characters that were like I had my own story behind them, and like I would design their outfits that mean certain things in my own stories. So that's kind of reached into like almost a fashion realm
Yeah.
almost. Um, and then also at kind of like the same time, I when I was doing cosplay, you kind of fall into like you have to start learning makeup. So at first I was building helmets for every single character just because that's the characters I played. They always had helmets. And then I got to other characters that I had to show my face, and I realized you have to wear makeup when you wear these costumes. Otherwise, you look crazy. You look like this decrepit body inside of this wonderful costume. The makeup has to match,
Yeah.
or else it just looks weird. Um, so I started to have to teach myself makeup, and that was a that is was such a different world because there's no like sewing, there's no like work you do beforehand. You have to do it in the moment and put it on your face, and you have to learn like the oils, the powders, the creams, the it was just a different medium that I hadn't used before, and it just had such a different science to it. And I'm the type of person where something new, ooh, sorry,
You're good.
stuttering. When something new comes up, I have to like grab all the information a part of it. So
Did you do like a lot of YouTube? Because like you've mentioned like you learned
yeah.
sewing, you learned like crafting, like you already had a mathematical brain. Like you tutored me at lunchtime in high school, I remember.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. I did.
I'm like, yo, I have a test. Like, help me before this test. But so you have already the math brain, but like, did you like YouTube all this stuff, or did you just like play, or did you do both? Like,
So with sewing and crafting, some of it was YouTube, but some of it was just like it just kind of made sense. I don't
yeah.
know. It was like I know hot glue can do anything. Paper, craft foam, cardboard, you can pretty much do anything with it. You just have to cut the shapes and
Yeah.
figure it out,
Yeah.
and that's what I loved about crafting, because you can, if you see something and you have materials, you can somehow make them into something.
Right.
um and then sewing, it's like you have to know the basics. So my grandmother taught me how to use the machine, and that was a little bit of like me learning like how to properly use certain stitches and certain like what a bias tape was, or what different feet were on the machine. So like those technical things. But when it
Right.
comes to like patterning and stuff like that, I just like would get a bunch of like old bed sheets and cut them up and sew them together and figure it out.
Yeah, you seem just like naturally gifted at it because you say like this kind of stuff that just like kind of makes sense, but I feel like to a lot of people like
I'm realizing it doesn't make sense to everybody.
like for me, like as far as I get, like, cause my mom loves sewing. She sews outfits for all my sisters and stuff like that. And the
Hmm.
spool of like thread or whatever, that's as
Hmm.
far as I get. Like trying to get
Yeah.
that thing through the needle and like tie it, it always ends up snapping and I, it doesn't make any sense to me personally.
No, I totally get that. I feel the same way when it comes to like other things, especially when my friend, I have people that know coding and stuff like that, and I'm like, I see a whole screen of dot dash dot dash. That doesn't mean anything to me, and some people are just like, oh yeah, this is just the basics. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Funny you mentioned that because I'm a software engineer.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. So
It's that, and then um movement, like people that can
yeah.
just like digest and interpret movement and copy it immediately.
But like, but let's
How
talk.
do
I
they
mean,
do that?
but let's talk about that because I've seen some videos on your page of you busting down, dude.
Okay, that's different. That's like it it's like throwing your body. That's different. But people who are like, if they kind of similar to like how people can hear a song
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, yeah, my body understands the trajectory of all these notes and how they're connected for a
Hmm.
full minute. They'll listen to the song for a full minute and then they'll play it immediately on the piano
Yeah.
perfectly. I'm like, what? What?
No.
Or with dancing, they'll watch like a full whatever. I think they're called like lines or sentences. I don't
Hmm.
know how the world of dance works. But they'll see something and they'll be able to just copy it.
Yeah.
And you're probably like, oh, that's not hard because they make it look easy.
Yeah. But
And
the
it's
same
just
could
like,
be said about you. I'm sure if you saw like this piece like on RuPaul, like you could be like, oh, I kind of get the basics of that. I could
totally,
do
it's
it.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the only thing I've ever created, I was in a puppetry class and we had to create our
uh-huh.
final, like for our final piece, we had to create our puppet. And I went to Michael's, I think it was, and I literally just grabbed like the first 12 things I saw, a bottle of
Hmm.
hot glue, and just like started cramming things together. It actually
Hmm.
ended up looking pretty good.
Okay.
But like that's as far as I can go. Like give me a hot glue gun, I can make something out of it,
I
right?
can tell because you said a bottle of hot glue
Uh,
and they don't come in bottles.
the sticks,
Yeah,
you push it
I know.
in and
A
yeah, you know
bottle
what
of
I
hot
mean.
glue.
Okay, so you kind of started in cosplay and then you slowly transitioned like, okay, I need to learn how to do makeup because I'm showing my face more. And then you
Oh
started
yeah,
doing
we were
like
on the
your
makeup route.
OCs. So
Hmm.
like,
So makeup was kind of like the real turning point. Because so that was something I really had to learn online because that is like a whole different realm.
there's like a whole
Um,
community too, like a whole, yeah,
yeah, and when I started learning about makeup was when the whole like YouTube makeup thing was going off. So I saw them and I just started watching in like information wise, not for like,
yeah.
oh, I want to do a copper eye and a nude lip. Like, no, I want to know why this product works better than the other one so that when I
Hmm.
wear it and sweat outside, it doesn't come off. That kind
Okay.
of information I was trying to get from things. Um, and then, just clicking on YouTube through the recommended and suggested things, you eventually got to people doing crazy drag makeup,
Yeah.
which almost was like theater makeup is what I would assume, what I would say, like you want to put on for cosplay because
Right.
you don't want to do anything natural because it's not going to show because you're painting for a picture. You're not painting for like your buddy next to you or like a dinner date. You're painting for the camera. So all these like crazy photographer videos and like huge flashes that people bring to the convention, you have to make sure you're not washed out from all
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's kind of like if it looks good from like 50 feet away, that's exactly how you want it, at least like
Yeah.
by my understanding.
Yeah, it's like I think it's called like we call it the 5 foot rule in cosplay and drag is like if you can't notice it or if you can't see it from 5 feet away, then do something about it. So
Yeah.
like if you're worried about like a seam or something being seen on your costume on stage, if people can't see it from 5 feet away, don't worry about it. Or if you have eyeliner on and you want to know if it's big enough, stand 5 feet away from the mirror. If you can't see it, get bigger.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. So that's kind of I would put that more in the theater department rather than beauty.
Yeah.
So being drawn to those like artistic drag makeup is me to me. I was like, oh, that's more theater oriented. That the theater side of me was kind of grabbing to those videos. And I started
Right.
watching them and I was like, this is insane. And I was like, this is a character. This is cosplay to a certain extent. You're just like not dressing up as a character that someone else has designed. You're just cosplaying, you know, a different gender almost.
Yeah.
And not all cases are like that, but you're see, I see there's this whole gender conversation that goes into it, and I don't as I go through drag, I don't pretend to be a girl or anything like that. It's not what it's about anymore.
Right.
But makeup wise, there's this huge transformation
Yeah.
from being one person and then coming out as a completely different person. And I was like, that's what cosplay is. It's a
Yeah.
transition. Your nerdy self, and then people dress up as these superheroes, and so there's these like quiet nerds into loud superheroes at conventions. I'm like, there's this
Yeah.
huge transition of like introvert to extrovert at conventions.
Well,
And
that's
that's what
that's the yeah, that's the interesting thing because I took a drag course in college and my I think my professor would like argue that cosplay is drag because it's just like using this thing to make you like somebody else. So
Yeah,
like,
that's it. It's a
yeah,
transformation art,
right.
and that's why I was drawn to it in the first place, is because I had all these transformative aspects, and that's why I'm like drawn to drag as well, because the transformation. Um, but I'm always someone, as I said previously, someone who wants to learn more and likes to challenge myself. And the whole performative aspect to drag was terrifying. So I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you like like even before you were really into cosplay and drag by extension, you would like just you would come into a room and just like do the splits, and I like you were just
Oh
always doing like off the
no.
wall stuff, or you would like
Oh
crawl. Like
no.
you remember when you would like crawl on your back or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were always doing like the coolest like performative stuff. So
I
I
feel like
wasn't
I
at
was
all
a class
surprised.
clown.
You think?
Little bit.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't do it in class, just like around your close friends. Like you always were there to like make us laugh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, high
Um,
school.
yeah, no, I remember it. I remember it well. I remember all of our friends and our friend group and a lot of the good stuff that you did for our friends and for me, but you know, like I remember there was like Be Happy Dominic Day. That's always gonna stick with me. And you got me a little
Oh my
box of nice
God,
things. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that. I also
Um,
remember a lot of the old music that you used to listen to,
it was like
and
MGMT and stuff like that.
that, and then oh gosh, I can never
Oh,
remember.
Say Anything. Yeah, yeah.
Say Anything.
Yeah.
That, yeah. And that whole band.
Yeah. Loved Say
Um,
Anything.
because they popped up on my Spotify one time and I went,
Really?
I haven't
Yeah.
heard this in so
Yeah.
long.
I still listen to them today. I love them so much. Okay, so you started doing drag. Just like
Mhm.
you sounds like you slowly transitioned. It sound like there wasn't really a thing where you're like, I'm gonna start doing drag. It's just like everything you did kind of already lended itself into the drag space.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would say like my transitional character from cosplay to drag would be Patrick Star,
Yeah,
because
I remember that.
it's it's a cosplay, but also
Hmm.
the makeup and the all the stuff I was wearing is like kind of androgynous
Yeah.
drag-esque. So that was kind of to me a crossover. And as soon as I did that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
There was such a crazier reaction to that as well, because people thought it was so crazy or different. I don't know. And
Was
I
that like
just
the first social media presence that you really like kind of popped off?
um I think I think so.
Because I remember
Um
your like classical cosplays, if you will, were like doing pretty well, but at like some point you
mhm.
just like blew up, and I didn't know if like that was the one that kind of caught a lot of eyes or something.
So Ryuk was like the big one, and then I
Is
did
that
Patrick
the scary
the
dude?
Wings. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I did Patrick a couple different versions around that time, which helped not make it a one hit post, you
Gotcha.
know.
Okay.
Um so Ryuk, I think I was at like 8 or 9,000 followers. And
Hmm.
then within the next morning, I was at 21K.
What was going on in your mind?
It was wild because I was in college and I was laying down on my apartment floor,
Uh-huh.
and I had posted it like an hour ago, and I refreshed and I would go up 100 followers. And I sat next to my roommate. I was like, what? So I told my roommate, I was like, hey, come look at this. And I refreshed my phone and I was
Yeah.
like, look, and it went up another 100 followers.
That's
And I was
insane.
like, what the heck?
Did you
It
have
was
any
wild.
suspicion that that was going to happen? Like, did any part of you think like this post or like any of the posts that you did like was going to be the one?
I didn't know something like that was on the table. I didn't know that's how it
Gotcha.
worked. I didn't know
Okay.
you could post something so cool and get a bajillion followers overnight. I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay, cool.
I just really enjoyed the construction of that, because
Yeah.
I was taking a metals class at the time, and I was able to use like titanium and steel and stuff like that to construct part of it, and I was
For the
like, this
Ryuk
is
one,
fun. Yeah.
is that what the wings are made out of?
So the wings are made out of PVC as like the main structure. And then they go into a titanium backplate.
Okay.
That is, and the reason I use that because it's really thin,
Yeah.
and I was able to put it underneath my bodysuit, and the wings went into
Mm,
buttonholes. that
Because they were
threaded.
functional, right?
No, they didn't go
Oh,
up, no.
gotcha.
But when I turned around, you couldn't see the wings.
Okay.
It looked like they actually went into my back.
Oh yeah.
Because a
Didn't you
lot
have
of
a
people wear wings and you can see like the back plate and everything like that. And I didn't have that.
and you had the corset too, right?
That's when I had the corset, and then I also had the 8-inch heels on too.
Gotcha. So there was already the seeds being planted of drag.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But
Okay.
like when you look at Ryuk, his waist is like so
Yeah.
tiny. So I
Right.
was like, we got to do the corset. It's the only
Wh-
thing that makes sense.
But were other people doing that? Because like to me, like yeah, he has a small waist, but like I don't think most people would go to, oh, you can just wear a corset. Maybe I don't know like the cosplay community, but I feel like they would just like use their imagination and or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I don't think a lot of people play with body shape.
Exactly. Yeah.
When I was doing cosplay, a lot of people didn't play too much into body shape when it came to characters because that was like around the time of the movement of like anybody can be any
Right.
character, because there was like a huge thing a couple of years before I started cosplaying where people are like fat people shouldn't be Superman or something like that,
Right.
because they don't have the right body type and it's not an accurate character,
Yeah.
because there was a whole thing against it, like because they're just like, be who you want to be your character, it has a tie to you, your body
Right.
shape, your body silhouette does not matter. So I don't think people really thought about stuff like that. And then I think I want to say like the popularity of drag might have impacted that because of the access to information about changing your silhouette with like foam and different
Yeah.
things like that. The only other thing that I can think of that might also have an impact was the rise of the like furry and popularity of the furry community within the cosplay community, because they also use the same sort of padding to create their muscle structures underneath their
Gotcha.
costumes.
You're
So
like a
like
pioneer in the space. It's crazy. You
I'm
like
not a
you
pioneer.
know like so much. It's
This
insane.
is just information that I've gathered just like over time and like looking at things, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so even if you look at like one of the most famous cosplayers to me, I think is Kamui cosplay.
Okay.
Um, and she brought to light a lot of the drag queen padding, which blew my mind when she
Mhm.
posted it because I had never would have thought she would have done something like that. Um, but basically, she was creating this character that had some rockin' hips. She was thick. And she wanted to be super accurate to the character. So she created like the whole process of drag queen padding where you like shave down the foam, turn it into the shape, you put it on, you wear a couple pairs of tights to blend it in, you know, all that process. And she did that, and then she did a tutorial on how she did it. And because she does tutorials for everything, and she posted it, and she like credited drag queens and different
Yeah.
people that she saw to help her. She tagged them all. Um, and at the end, it was cute. She had to edit it because she kept having to delete like hateful LGBT comments
Yeah.
because of the drag queen stuff. And I was like,
Right.
you go, girl.
Yeah.
Like, but the fact that she just brought that padding information
Hmm.
into the cosplay community, and the fact that she as a woman put it on herself not to become a drag queen but to become a more accurate character through body shape,
Yeah.
I just thought was super cool, because I didn't think people would modify their bodies shape wise. I thought they would always,
Right.
you know, copy the armor or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I see a lot more people, you know, uh maybe muscle suits is another good topic to throw under, but like body changing
Right.
stuff for cosplay. But I see people like pad pecs, or like they'll modify their different like body parts to copy these crazy characters
Yeah.
that have really weird silhouettes.
Because especially in the cosplay community, like the characters, like just as an example, the dudes that I know and like a lot of like characters, they have like that triangular shape that just isn't realistic.
Right,
You know?
right. And
Um.
that's part of what Ryuk had. I felt like he had that triangle torso, but it was like so thin, and then he had
Yeah.
these little hips and little legs that attached to
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that's what I was trying to achieve, and the
Okay.
crazy drasticness of it was, I think, what caught a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your waist get like smaller than a waist in my head could ever possibly humanly get. Like you've mastered the art of wearing a corset.
I
Um,
haven't trained in the past 3 years, so it's not
Trained.
as,
Do you have
yeah,
to like
so
condition to wear it?
yeah. It's
Wow.
it's it's like kind of like a sport. You have to
Can
like
you break it down? I didn't know.
yeah, so it's like your muscles, like muscle memory and stuff like that when
Hmm.
you train for sports, you know. Like if I had ran for 3 years and I stopped running for a year and I start up again, I'm not going to be the same, you
Right.
know. So if I train, corset is your, I think it's your lumbar muscles or the
Hmm.
muscles on your side right here. Basically, they get stretched. And like if you sit down and bring up one hand and go like this, one of these stretches like that,
Oh,
you stretch
yeah.
your lumbar muscle.
I did that
um
earlier. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's one way to stretch them, but when you wear a corset you actually take the muscles and push them inward, and you
Hmm.
stretch them in a different area more drastically, so it's a better stretch. So if you see anyone that's really good at wearing corsets, they do one of these stretches, they can do them really well because they have their lumbars already stretched from the corset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so basically, like, if I were to put on a tight corset right now, I could
Mhm.
essentially like tear or pull a muscle because they're not used to stretching that way. Is that kind of like
Um, I don't think they are strong enough to pull a muscle.
okay?
Because there's so much more than just the lumbars that are going on there.
Would it just be really
Um,
uncomfortable?
it would just be really uncomfortable.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And also your body learns to rearrange itself. So
Hmm.
this is when people start to get like, oh my gosh, these things are like so bad for you, which
Yeah.
they're not. So, for example, when you sleep,
Hmm.
even you sleep on your stomach, you sleep on your side and stuff like that, for those hours that you're sleeping, you're like, there are certain organs that gravity pulls them down towards the bed a little bit. They
Okay.
move.
Yeah.
There, things in your body move. That's why they are squishy. That's why they are the shapes they are. And that's why you have liquids in your body to help them slide around and stuff like that.
Right.
Because like, and when you're like a soccer player kicking like his foot across his body and his other part of his body is this way, you know, his insides have to squish and change for him to extend his body certain ways, you know.
Right.
So your organs move. They do that. So when you wear a corset, they move. And
Yeah.
I think people just don't understand that.
Yeah.
So when you wear a corset, um, some of your intestines go down and some of your other body parts kind of squish up, you know,
Hmm.
depending on how tight you corset. But and so what you have to do is it's kind of like a flexibility. So when you touch your toes, um, if you know, if someone sits on you or something, it makes you squish you too fast, you can tear something or something like that, right?
Right.
With a corset, there's no like, your body is so robust. I've never
Yeah.
heard of anybody tearing a muscle wearing a corset like that. But it's the same idea. It's flexibility. So if you wear it like, typically when you wear it the first time, you only reduce like 1 or 2 inches.
Okay.
So, so say you have a 34-inch waist, right? So typically you would purchase a corset 4 inches under your waist. So
Okay.
you would purchase a 30-inch corset.
Hmm.
And so the first time you wear it, you're not going to be able to close it all the way in the back.
Right. And would it
Um,
stay like latched? Like, are there settings
the front,
or?
oh yeah. So
Okay.
it latches in the front and it's all lacing in the back.
Okay.
So you can have the lacing like open and
Hmm.
zigzag, or you can have the whole panels shut and the zigzag really tight and like completely
Gotcha.
shut. Kind of like shoelaces. You know how when your shoelace gets
Yeah.
older,
Yeah.
you have to tighten it and your shoe kind of closes more and more together. It's that idea.
Right. Okay.
So the first night you wear it, you'll probably put it on and you might, you know, close it down like 2 inches. You might get to 32 inches from 34. And it might be a little uncomfortable and it might feel tight. And you're just like, whoa, there's something on my body, you know, like that.
Yeah.
But if you wear it for a couple hours, you know, after 4 hours of having it on, you're like, oh, it doesn't feel that bad anymore.
Right.
That's because your lumbars are stretched a little bit, they're warmed up,
Yeah.
and the things inside your body have moved. So like your intestines moved down a little bit, the other things moved up, stuff like that. Now it's more comfortable.
Gotcha.
Um, so basically that's like part of the training.
Okay.
So as soon as you're comfortable with 32 and you put it on and you're just like, I put this on and in the first 2 minutes I had it on, I'm already comfortable. So
Right.
then you can do a little tighter and you get down a little further, and that just takes time. So then once you do that, typically if you reduce 4 inches is like the normal corset thing. So if you have a 34-inch waist, you get down to a 30. That's like for people that are not plus size, that's like a good cinch. Like that's
Gotcha.
pretty comfortable. That's not extreme corseting. Going down 4 inches is like fairly like normal and average.
Was Ryuk extreme corseting?
So Ryuk, I think I went 30 to 24, so about 6 inches.
Okay, that's actually that doesn't sound as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it'd be like 8 or 10 because it looked
Oh no,
so
no,
small.
it looked so we'll get to why it looks like that. Um, so I typically would say 6 inches for me is like where I like to be,
Okay.
because 4 inches is like an average and you can see like a little boop in your waist.
Hmm.
But 6 inches is when you start to get a little more dramatic.
Gotcha.
And to me, 6 inches is where it's like dramatic enough and I can wear it for long periods of time where it's not discomforting. I can train my body to do that.
Cool.
So like at conventions, when you're sitting and stuff for like 8 to 12 hours, having a corset in 6 inches for me was like it's drastic enough to get that crazy silhouette and it's still comfortable. Anything to me to where my waist is, anything further than 6 inches, starts to get discomfort a lot faster. But it looks so crazy. It looks so
Yeah.
cool. But for stuff like that, you have to train for.
Right.
So as you work a muscle, if you haven't worked that muscle in so long, you have to kind of regress in your training. So
Yeah.
right now, um, for me, reducing 6 inches is actually starts to get discomfort after like 4 hours instead of 8 to 12.
Yeah.
So I have to condition my body back again because I would like to get back to that, with drag performing and stuff like that.
Right. We interrupt this program to bring to you our sponsors. Thank you, Monster Energy, for sponsoring this episode. For 0 sugar and 10 calories, you get a lot of good energy that keeps you going throughout the day. Let me tell you, I have about 3 of these a day. We don't recommend having 3 of these a day. I personally do. As somebody that works 8 hours a day in front of the computer and then has to go box for 3 hours, it's good to have a nice little pick me up. So we recommend Monster Energy as your energy drink of choice. Thank you, and back to the program. Right.
Um,
That makes
but
sense.
talking about how drastic Ryuk is, so something called proportions.
Oh, okay.
So if we take like a basic body type
Hmm.
and you like if oh I wish I could draw this, but take like if we want to make the most sense, those like sketches, fashion sketches where they just have like the outline of a human body so you can
Yeah.
draw like the clothing on it. So you have like an average human body there, right?
Hmm.
So increase the head size a little bit,
Hmm.
widen the shoulders a little bit, give it beefier arms, and give it some thigh muscle and a little bit of hip. its
Yeah.
waist will its waist will look automatically way smaller.
Gotcha. So it was a trick. Okay.
It's a trick.
And it was the 6 inches. I mean, the 6 inches weren't like meaningless, but
Right,
all
it's a
that together.
combination of everything. So
Yeah.
Ryuk, when I stand for Ryuk, I hunch and
I noticed that.
it brings my shoulders forward and it
Yeah.
makes my shoulders look way bigger. Not only that, but I have shoulder pads that are humongous that have feathers on them, and then also have a 16-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
So that wingspan is making my waist look a lot smaller because of how
Yeah.
massive that is.
And then you
Not
also had
only,
the other two characters. I don't know what their names were, but they were like right about at your waist level, it seems. So their shoulders were like here, and your
yeah,
waist just looked even smaller.
because my friends were all like 5'6", 5'8" too.
Yeah.
And I was in 8-inch heels, which helped.
eight
And
inches.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I also had on a belt that so it was a very thick, low-waisted belt that had all this jewelry junk hanging off of it, so it
Hmm.
looks super thick. So when you wear something super thick around your low waist, it makes your eye tricks to think the hips are bigger. So
Hmm.
so any what was next to my waist was my chest and my broad shoulders, and then went into like my hips looked a little bigger. So you get this like hourglass shape, and when you hide things, your eyes will draw it for you, you know? So like
Yeah.
if you see somebody wearing, this is why sweatpants are popular, because they are comfortable, but the waistband gathers so much material in them, and sweatpant material is kind of thick. So when you wear it around your waist, it makes your waist look smaller.
You're
It
exposing
makes your
everyone
I
right
am.
now.
It makes your hips look bigger and your butt look bigger because it's shooting out extra fabric. So
Gotcha.
if you don't have a butt or you don't have a hips, if you just wear very baggy sweatpants, it makes it look the illusion that you have a smaller waist and a bigger butt.
I'm seeing a lot of sweatpants hanging up there behind you.
I don't own any sweatpants. They're too
Um,
hot. I don't like pants.
Fair enough. I exclusively wear sweatpants. I'm in sweatpants right now. Okay, so you're very well cemented in the drag space now. You've done very well, I think, especially with TikTok. TikTok is like a really good application for like your whole business model. Like,
Hmm.
how did TikTok like change the game for you? Like, how does it help you in a way that Instagram and Facebook and all those just couldn't? Because it just seems different.
It's because I think what TikTok is and what I'm scared of what's going to happen to it to make it bad. I don't know if that made sense.
It made sense, but like I would like you to explain. It sounds like
So
there's more.
to me, TikTok and what to TikTok is a lot of people was where what it first started off. Can I curse on this?
Yeah.
Oh, TikTok is shit posting.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It's where you go to be stupid.
Yeah.
And that's why it's great.
Right.
Because there's no like Twitter's for fighting people and for being annoying and
Yeah.
complaining about your feelings.
Exactly.
Facebook is for getting in political fights with old people. Instagram is like amazing, but it's so professional. Like it's turned into this professional like place where like everything is like your portfolio
Yeah.
and your brand,
It's
you
hard to like
know?
break into it, I feel like. It's very hard.
Yeah. And then YouTube is like also very professional, brandy with a little bit of personality and then sponsorships, you know, to
And
keep
it's
it
short form
professional.
kind of sucks, I feel like. It's short
Yeah.
form content. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel well, this is a different conversation, but I feel like YouTube's starting to dwindle and live streaming is coming in, but
Yeah.
that's a different conversation. But anyway, TikTok was a place where people could just post whatever the heck they wanted and they didn't care because it doesn't matter. There's
Yeah.
no like formality to TikTok. It's just
Right.
if you wanted to run around in a towel and yell, sing like supercalifragilistic and like eat peanut butter off your dog's toes or something like that, like
Yeah.
that's the place to do it. Nobody
Right.
cares. Um, and that's because there weren't people like watching you and paying you to be professional. There's no
Right.
professionalism there. And I think the things that brought professionalism into Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that were brands,
Yeah.
because they were like, oh, we're going to pay you and we want this. And people were like, okay, I'm going to deliver you amazing content that's clean cut, you know?
Yeah.
And so then there is this like, I don't think competitive is the right word, but like polished stuff that came out of it, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that's starting and has been starting to happen to TikTok over the past year. It's
Yeah.
not so much shit posting anymore. And that
I mean,
was there was
it's
so much
hard to.
personality to TikTok because I would scroll through and I would see dogs being stupid and I would see like cats falling and then I would see like some really cool art stuff that I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, how they do that? And then I would see like 5 minute crafts being stupid and like
Right.
all these different things. And they were just like they entertained me so well. And then now I'm starting to get like the same stuff over and over and over
Yeah.
again. I don't know.
I mean, it was like Vine. I feel like it in its early days, it was a lot like Vine. And
Yeah.
Vine was just fun. Like I remember just the stupidest, dumbest, most embarrassing cringe videos on Vine, and that's what makes it
Hmm.
awesome. But I mean,
Yeah,
I understand it though, because it's hard when a person like Charlie D'Amelio gets 100 million followers. Like, what brand isn't gonna want to capitalize on that, you know?
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and now they're introducing like 3-minute long form videos, which I feel like
No,
just doesn't work in the
no,
space. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, but no, I love your videos. Like I watch them all the time. Like one of my favorites are when you're like it's just you and then you'll like turn this way and then there's a beat drop and then you have like a little bit more makeup and then you do this way and then
Oh,
you like
yeah.
and then you're just by the end you're like covered in one of your like beautiful beautiful creations. Those are my favorite
Yeah.
videos.
Those are fun to do.
Yeah.
I haven't done those in a hot minute because things are starting to like open back up. And so
Hmm.
performing
Yeah.
venues are starting to open. And so like I'm like out performing 3, 4 times a week. I don't have time to like sit down and do makeup anymore. Because now when I do makeup, I have to put it on like in an hour and a half and I gotta go, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's so different right now, but I need to sit down and get back into it.
So curious about that. I think like there's obviously a benefit of doing drag like in real life. Obviously,
Hmm.
like there's the
Hmm.
crowd and they're giving you that live response and all that. But I feel like because everything is so digital nowadays, it's like digital is also a very good option for like how
Hmm.
to just do drag performances or like drag content, whatever it might be. So do you find that like one works better for you than the other in terms of like going to a real life drag show and doing a drag performance versus like using your time to make content or like post makeup videos or just whatever it might be? Um, how do you kind of decide which one you want to do or which one's better for your brand or your company?
So I think it has to be a good balance of both.
Okay.
I will say performing doesn't make hardly any money,
Right.
but there is the solid interaction with people
Yeah.
that you feel like you are making a direct impact, you
Yeah.
know? It's kind of like experiences that can't be purchased,
Oh,
you
for
know?
sure. I've been to a drag
Um,
bar before. It's like one of it's so fun. It's so
yeah, it's
fun.
so fun. And
Yeah.
also it changes you as a person
The
in a good
performer or the
way,
viewer?
the performer, like me,
Okay.
because I start to learn, more about like, I don't know, I don't socialize a lot
Yeah.
because I'm a very homebody.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is just me learning how to be a social person, but I learn about a lot of things, how people interact and stuff like that. And I don't get caught up in like when I do something or like when some social interaction happens, I don't sit around thinking about it for 5 hours afterwards, being like, oh man, I hope I didn't get off that impression, or like beating
Yeah.
myself over that simple 2-second interaction. I don't do that
Right.
anymore because I know nobody's going to remember it tomorrow and
Yeah.
nobody cares. So
That reminds
it's
me,
like,
that I got into magic for the same reason. I struggled to talk to people, and
mm,
I don't know if you remember Devin Nguyen, but he taught me like
mhm,
magic tricks, and then it just changed my life because I would just go up to random people and perform magic, and I knew like they didn't care who I was because I was giving them an experience, right? And so I
mhm.
can relate to what you're saying in that way.
Yeah. So it affect my life out of drag because I feel like now I'm more confident
Yeah.
and I'm focused on things that I understand things more that people care about and are going to look forward to. And I don't linger on the stupid things that used to give me anxiety that did not matter,
Right. Yeah.
And there was that part of it that really drawn to me for performing. But when it comes to the social media side,
Hmm.
you just the money's so much easier on that
Right.
side.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you get like
especially,
brand deals? Do they like makeup companies like that sort of thing?
yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. I will say that one one brand deal, at least where my following is currently, I can do a brand deal that I can knock out in like 6 to 8 hours, like a work day. I can do it
That's
in a work
tough.
day.
That's pretty
Yeah.
tough.
And the same pay would be if would do 3 shows.
Wow.
If I did like Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday, I did shows. I would
Yeah.
make about the same amount of money.
Gotcha. So it sounds to me
So
like the shows are more like for your soul, and the digital stuff is like more for like the business, the company, the monetization side of things.
yeah, and I'm at
Okay.
the point where I'm just like, um, when you get brand deals, you get a lot of people throwing stuff at you. And a lot of it is just like, why are you reaching out? This has nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
and they're just like, oh, they see a TikTok with a following.
Right.
So they're
Yeah.
just like, oh, uh, we're Coconut Lube, sponsor us. I'm like, what am I gonna do with that? Make it make sense with what I'm doing, you know?
Did Coconut Lube actually reach out to you?
Yeah, they have like dragon fruit lube, and I'm like, okay, I for the gays maybe, I don't know. But I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. How do I show this? How am I supposed to sell this when
Right.
obviously people are going to be like, oh, they just paid you to say that? Of course they
Yeah.
did. So now I only accept things that like I've gotten to the point. I used to feel really bad about think people being sent free product and
Mhm.
then feeling obligated to make something because I'm like, oh my God, they sent me this. That's not, if there's no contract being signed, you don't have to do anything,
Right.
which I,
Yeah.
I didn't realize. But if I receive something for free and I actually enjoy it, I will talk about it because
So,
it's
do you want to talk
worth.
to me about the coconut lube?
I I didn't go through with it. I haven't used it. It's still in my inbox. They still want me to do something. I
Gotcha.
just don't want to. Oh
That's
my
hilarious.
gosh. But like, so the stuff that I do get accept brand deals for are things that like make sense. Like
Right.
if they're like, oh, here is a new palette that has more mixed colors than a normal one, and the creams are better, and I use it and I'm like, oh, it actually is amazing. I actually do like this. Then I'll accept the offer.
Yeah, that
It
makes
has to
sense.
make sense.
I feel like every kind of influencer has that point too, where like they start getting a bunch of sponsors or like sponsor offers, and they're like, oh, like I just want to do them all. And then I feel like as they progress, they become more and more aware of like, okay, if I actually enjoy it and it represents my brand, then I'll do it. So I feel like that's just a normal thing.
Yeah. Um, but I know some influencers that are like, I have to make this much money a month, so I have to sign
True.
up. So
Yeah.
even if it doesn't match my brand, I have to make the money.
Right.
And I'm like, I would rather do maybe one a month that made
Right.
sense and then just perform for the other things. Even though I'm not
Yeah.
making as much money, I would rather perform and go do something than tell someone to
Right.
buy some coconut lube that does not
The
matter.
coconut lube, it's killing me. And where are you performing now?
Ugh, so I have to go all the way to DC to
Okay,
perform.
text me with your next one. I'm in Williamsburg right now, and I'm gonna be moving to Arlington in January. So
Oh my God, you're
yeah.
gonna be at drag shows every day then. Jesus.
So
There's
yeah,
so much.
text me your next one. I'll try to come up.
Okay.
Um, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is two things. One, are you interested at all in getting into like the makeup space and like creating like your own makeup palettes and stuff like that? That sort of thing.
hmm So with makeup is an interesting thing for me because to me it's a tool for transformation, you
Okay.
know, and I'm not here for the whole like this shimmer shade is so golden it'll blind you. Like I don't care. All that drama, all that like I don't care. I
Yeah,
just want if I
it's a
want blue,
tool.
I want blue,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so if I were to make something, it would need something to I would make something to make me putting on makeup easier and make more sense.
Okay.
So like and also it might change depending on where I am in my life.
Right.
If I get asked or if I'm doing some makeup thing where I'm traveling a lot, probably something that would have to do with the makeup that I created that time would have to be travel size options
Yeah.
or functionality and stuff like that. Whereas at that time, if I'm at my studio and I'm just creating a bunch of stuff all the time in my studio, maybe I create something that its own like mini organizer that has the makeup built into it that sits on your desk and its own desk thing.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Sounds
but
like you've been planning it maybe a little bit.
I don't know. I just sometimes as I'm putting on makeup, I just say, oh, I wish this was easier. And that's when
Right.
you start to create new
You got to write
ideas, you
all
know?
those down.
Yeah,
Because then you're going to be like, oh, what can
exactly.
I make? And then you just have this whole list of things that you've needed at some point. Because if you've needed something, I'm sure somebody else in the world has also needed it, right?
Yeah. I think what I might do is something that has to do with a cream palette, because not a lot of places I know have like a variety of creams. I just use this
What's a
little
cream
like,
palette?
it's kind of like foundation,
Mm-hmm.
but in different colors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
So
like for your
like,
Patrick Star, you might use a pink one.
right. So
Okay.
they have like mini palettes that are like maybe like 8 colors, and there's like a green, a yellow, a pink, all the ones of the
Mm-hmm.
rainbow. But there's no like big palette that has like different shades of green, different shades of blue.
Right.
It also has skin tones. It also has like all this other stuff. You just get the rainbow basics.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And so
The,
like what do you have an idea of what you would contribute to that? Or like any idea? Well, you won't maybe don't say them.
I don't know yet.
Gotcha.
But it would definitely probably have to be, because I just paint myself so many different colors. I would want
Right.
something to make that easier. So
Gotcha.
it'd probably be in that realm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess like the big question that I've been wanting to ask you for forever is like, what's the plan to get on RuPaul? It's got to happen eventually, right?
I guess, yeah. Um, it's an interesting platform because it's life changing for
Yeah,
sure. But there is so many different things that just come along with it being life changing,
right.
because it's not just like, oh, you get on, you're famous, you have a job forever now, and now you can just do drag every day, and you get to go around the world and do stuff. That's not what it
Okay,
is,
that's totally how I imagined it. I'm just gonna
right?
be
That
honest.
exactly, that's what people think. It's a lot of contract work.
Yeah,
It's a lot of like you having to do stuff that you probably don't want to, but you have to paint on a happy face and be there and be professional,
right.
you know?
Yeah,
And there's no sick days. So if you're sick, put on more makeup, make you not look
yeah,
sick, you know?
yeah,
Um, it's just there's that, and there's also a lot, I don't know. It looks magical, but there's like the real part of it. There's like the online part of it where what if people don't like you?
right.
How
Yeah,
is that going to impact you mentally?
yeah,
And we can say all we want as people that are not affected by it currently. We can say how whatever we want, but as
yeah.
soon as you get affected by it, you don't know how you're going to react. You don't know
That's
how
true.
it, because I could say like, oh, hate comments don't mind. I don't care about hate comments, they don't mean anything. But until you post something and the whole thing is hate comments,
Yeah. Have you
how
had
does
that
that make you
happen yet?
feel? No, I haven't had that happen yet, but I can't even
Gotcha.
imagine.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
no,
fuck
like
the
you
haters, but like
you make a good
it's
point
a
because like
lot.
I post like one thing that like isn't even like me trying to like make a big statement in the world or like contribute content in any way. It's just like something I thought was cool. And somebody's
Mhm.
like, uh views were low, huh? And I'm like, like, and it just makes you feel like, dang, like one person hates on me. I can't even imagine like 200,000 people, 500,000 people. I just can't imagine.
Exactly. And then there's other things where like you have on the show, like what if people don't like your outfits?
Yeah,
And there's all these review shows now that are popular, and you watch a review show and you have other people in the industry saying, oh yeah, she did not do very good, blah blah, blah. Like, how does that
yeah,
make you feel? You
right.
know?
That's a lot to
Um,
consider. Yeah, didn't think
yeah.
about that.
And then what if like, you're in California and then you have to go to New York the next day, and then you have to go to this place, like, and you have to get ready on the plane, you
Right.
know? So you have the anxiety of being ready in time, and then people watching you on the plane,
Yeah.
and then walking through the airport, people looking at you, or if you're on TV, people are trying to chase you down and get a picture. So you have so many things happening at once. Like
Right.
you are running yourself so
Yeah.
low that it sounds amazing, and it probably is, but it'll probably make me love vacation.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I have vacation time, boy, will I cherish it,
Well,
you
I think if
know?
you're on RuPaul, you'll probably get quite a bit of vacation time.
Hopefully. But I mean, I those are just some things that I can think of off the top of my head. There's probably so much more, like getting costumes in time. If people like you going somewhere, you have to create new numbers, you know,
Right.
you have to choreograph things. You have to see how all those things translate on every single stage that you perform on.
But you
You
probably
have
get
to,
a team because I
oh
don't know this
yeah,
for sure, but it seems like you've kind of just built this thing by yourself, right?
yeah. For
Yeah.
me, everything I have is done by myself. But gosh, if I ever get a team, boy, will that be so much fun to.
That'd be so nice.
I know,
And you
right?
could do
Somebody
other
could pack my
things.
bag for me. Oh
That'd be nice. Yeah.
my gosh, that'd be so cool.
By the way, if you make it on RuPaul and you get famous, I'm willing to pack your bag for you.
Yeah. See, I feel like the job of assistant would be so fun too. Like
Yeah,
you get to travel and kind of like experience greatness through the person that you're
right.
following,
You
you
get to go to
know?
all the after parties. You get to meet all the
Yeah.
faces. And
Yep.
people are gonna be like, wait, oh, and everybody's gonna see you since you're the assistant, you're still like
Hmm.
vulnerable to being talked to because you only have like
Yeah.
2,000 followers. So everybody's gonna try to talk to you so that they can talk to
Yep.
Crimsyn, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
But the upside is you don't get recognized and chased down. You just
yeah,
get to
that's true.
benefit the experiences. I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, that always seems fun too.
yeah, I would love to see you on RuPaul. I mean, of course, you mentioned like a lot of downsides to like not only being on RuPaul, but just being famous in general, which
Mhm.
like
There's
for
also a lot of upsides as well, but I'm just like,
yeah,
I feel like there's just always the inner Libra in me. There's always a balance to everything you do, you know?
I'm a Libra moon, I think. What are the
I don't
two?
know. I don't know what any of that means.
This girl,
I
the
know there's a Libra and an Aries and something that sounds like saggy tits.
Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much every time I talk to a girl, and I'm sure there's plenty of guys that do it too. But anytime I talk to a girl, she's like, "Oh, you should download this app and get your
Oh,
signs." So I think I'm a Leo sun, a Libra moon, and a Virgo rising. I think that's it. Yeah,
oh. I don't
what
know mine, but the
whatever
gays
that
love it.
means.
The gays love it. They'll be like, you'll do something out in public and they'll be like, that's the cancer in you. And I'm like, excuse me?
That's so funny because it's so true. Um, well, so I prepared one thing for you. I want to show you before I let you go. So I'm going to show you
Uh-oh.
this, and then I want you to call out all of your like social media stuff so that anybody watching this can follow you. Um,
Okay.
so I took a drag class, as I told you already,
Oh
and
man.
let's see, how do I share a screen here? Okay, beautiful. It's
I think I know what
sideways.
it is.
I
I
couldn't
think
figure
I
out
know
how to
what it
turn it, but
is.
it's sideways, okay? But can you
Oh,
see?
what is
This is
this?
me performing. I can't have the sound on because it'll get taken down, but
Oh, okay.
it's never enough from The Greatest Showman, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we all had
yeah.
to prepare a drag piece. So I I prepared a drag piece, and I just wanted to share it with you. So I turned on the theater in me, and I threw on some pretty clothes, a nice wig, and I went to town. And I just wanted to show you. I think I look I think I look great. And this is me wiping my makeup off because I wanted to play a little bit with like the idea of gender in it and everything.
Right, right.
And so, it's me checking myself, being a little self-conscious, like, oh, maybe my waist isn't small enough. Throw the makeup down. I'm feeling a little bit more strong here.
Uh-huh.
That's the inner monologue going on anyway. And here I can skip forward a little bit. I kind of repeat the same thing a little bit. Okay, so I ripped the wig
Oh, there
off.
goes the
I
wig.
ripped the wig off. I'm feeling a little bit more proud of myself. Uh-oh.
Is there
Uh-oh.
a reveal? Is there a
There's
reveal?
a reveal. Yes, sir.
Oh,
And yep, there it is.
the bra.
So we're gonna stop sharing there.
Ah!
Let's see. Yeah, so I just want to share that with you.
Oh
I've
my
I'm not
goodness.
big into drag performance, like doing it. I love watching it, and she
Mm-hmm.
wanted us to come in with a piece, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I had, and I've never I've shown anybody that, so
That's
I
fun.
wanted to share it with you. Yeah.
I wish I
Um,
could be like drag queen. What what did they talk about?
in the drag class, well, so it was like
Yeah.
it wasn't really a drag class. It was a class called something about like writing plays that have the specific desire to like change, to provoke, like to make change or something, I guess.
Where did
Um,
drag class come into this?
well, because we took like we had like four different like sections, and one of them
Uh-huh.
where we studied like drag for like a whole month, and then we studied
Uh-huh.
um performance art for like a whole month and like all that stuff. And
Oh,
so
okay.
basically we like had these sectional classes, and then at the end of the class we wrote a whole play called Anne Mary, because I went to William and Mary, so we removed
Uh-huh.
like William and it just called it Anne Mary, and it was this whole thing where we like utilized drag, we utilized puppetry, we utilized performance art.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
utilized each of those sections into like a play,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was pretty fun. It was a good experience.
That's
I
lovely.
and I just, I did some drag. I tucked, and I'd never done that before.
How did you talk? Did you
I
which
just like just like
okay. Okay. So you didn't use the duct tape.
no, no,
Okay.
no, nothing too crazy like that. I just
I always love that when you tell someone to tuck and you just get out the duct tape and they are terrified. It's
yeah,
my
no,
favorite part.
I just kept it secured using my legs.
Okay. Oh, a monster mash.
Yeah, okay. Did not know there was a name for it.
That's what I call it. We call it the monster mash.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, I had a lot of fun talking to you today and catching up. Where can
Yeah,
people
this
follow
is
you?
great. So I would like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm trying to get all my usernames to be the same,
Okay.
but there is this stupid person that I have reported so many times that has my name just Crimsyn,
Yeah,
and their account isn't being used. They don't
gotcha.
post, they have zero posts, following
Yeah.
zero people, zero everything, and it's just him in a straw hat. I'm like, so anyway, my social medias are all at crimsyn.co. So
Okay.
CRIMSYN.co. And that should be on like every
Yeah.
platform.
And I'll put it as an
Um,
overlay on your box right there. So
oh, perfect.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
And I'll put it in the description as well so that everybody can come find you. So
Yeah.
cool.
You can watch me be a fool on TikTok. You can see some pretty things on Instagram, or you can see how stupid I tweet when I'm pooping on Twitter. Because I only tweet when I'm pooping.
See, for me, I only use Tinder when I'm pooping.
Oh my gosh.
Do you
See,
not?
I no. Tinder is like when I'm falling asleep and then I'll wake up with matches. I'm like, dang it, I accidentally, when I was falling asleep, I like my thumb hit my phone. The match with this random person.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why, like, but it's not uncommon because I swiped on this girl once and she was like, I only use Tinder when I'm pooping. It was in her bio. So I was like, oh, me too. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate for having you on the third episode. If you know anybody that's like doing big things that wants to come on, just let me know and I'll bring them on because I'm always looking to meet new people and see what other people are doing in the world.
Absolutely. Is this on like Apple Podcasts and
It's gonna be on
Spotify and
YouTube. Yeah.
oh, it's on
And
YouTube?
and
Okay.
I do it Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you'll be on Thursdays. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.